Okay, so while we're reading this chapter in Bryman, of course, this is an area we're going to do a much deeper dive into, other than more so than any other chapter. And of course, this is going to be informed by The Land of Open Graves, Living and Dying on the Migrant Trail book that we will be reading by Jason DeLeon. And I'm sure that you can venture to guess, given how much time I've put into highlighting ethnography in this course, that this is a research approach that I find highly valuable. So, ethnography aims to provide a lot of rich contextual understanding of the social world from the perspective of the participants. And unlike other methods, ethnography is not just about what people say, but also what they do in their everyday lives. So, an example, an ethnographic study in education might involve spending an entire school year in a classroom to observe how teachers and students interact daily, allowing the researcher to capture the nuances of educational practice. Participant observation allows researchers in this case to gather data that is both observational and experiential, providing a deeper understanding of the context and the meanings that participants attach to their actions. So, an example, in a counseling context, participant observation might involve a researcher sitting in on group therapy sessions, of course, with permission, to observe group dynamics, noting how participants interact with each other and the therapist. Um, so we're going to walk through each step of the ethnographic research process um, through an example. So, in an educational setting, a researcher might select a rural school as the field site, spend several months attending classes, observing school events, and interacting with teachers and students, and then analyze the data to understand the challenges faced by rural educators. So there's various methods used to collect data in ethnographic research. The focus is really on thorough and detailed field notes, I would say. So, an example in counseling, in a study of counseling practices, researcher might observe sessions, take notes on the interactions, interview therapists about their approaches, and analyze client records with consent to understand the therapeutic process. Are some ethical challenges that are unique to ethnography, such as maintaining confidentiality in close knit communities and the potential influence of the researcher's presence on participant behavior. So, an example, when conducting ethnographic research in a classroom, the researcher must ensure that students and teachers understand the purpose of the study, consent to participate, and are reassured that their identities will be kept confidential in any reports or publications. But beyond that, typically you would see that somebody would be embedded in this classroom context for an extended period of time. And, how do they remain neutral when kids are naturally going to be curious about who this person is and what their role is? My experience has been, though, while initial curiosity is natural, over time, the person does sort of fade into the background as the kids get used to sort of their presence in the space. Um, so some of the challenges ethnographers face include managing large amounts of data. And so, in an example here, in a counseling context, a researcher might struggle with maintaining objectivity while also being a participant in therapy sessions, or they might find it difficult to manage the vast amount of qualitative data collected over several months of observation. So, data analysis in ethnography often involves identifying themes and patterns that emerge from the data and how this analysis is closely tied to the narrative and contextual nature of the research. So, for example, in an educational ethnography, a researcher might use thematic analysis to identify reoccurring themes such as student engagement or teacher student interactions, and then explore how these themes vary across different classroom settings. Writing an ethnography involves more than just reporting data. It requires crafting a narrative that captures the complexity and richness of the participants' lives and the settings studied. So an example, a researcher writing an ethnography on group therapy might provide a thick description of a therapy session, including dialogue, body language, and the emotional atmosphere to convey the therapeutic dynamics and their impact on participants. And we'll gain a lot of exposure to the various methodologies as well as writing processes through our deeper dive into the Jason De Leon book required for this class. So there's a wide-ranging application of ethnography across various fields, and it again provides really deep insights into complex social phenomenon. So some examples: ethnography can be used in education to explore how different teaching styles affect student learning and engagement, providing educators with detailed insights that can inform teaching practices. But I think, there's lots of methodologies and lots of qualitative research projects that you could do, or even the quantitative research projects that would get at the same information. I mean, the difference here is the fact that the researcher is really embedded for an extended period of time, understanding all of the cultural nuances of a particular environment in a very deep way, in a way that really takes a lot of time to develop. And so I think when we think back to sort of an older model of anthropology, you might think about somebody who was embedded with a particular tribe, let's say in Papua New Guinea, for an extended period of time. That might be the image that you have, of what at least a cultural ethnographer in anthropology might be doing. So here's a recap. Ethnography and participant observation allow researchers to deeply immerse themselves in in the environment that they're studying, which is going to lead to a more nuanced and authentic understanding of the participants' world. And this method is particularly valuable when exploring cultures, social groups, or institutions that are complex and multifaceted. This is a holistic perspective. So these methods are not just about collecting data, they are about understanding the context, meaning, and processes behind the behaviors and interactions observed. And this is going to provide a holistic view that can reveal insights that other methods might miss. So, some key steps: you want to think about your field site selection and access. So, the importance of carefully choosing a field site that's relevant to the research question and gaining access in a way that builds trust and rapport with participants is critical. In terms of data collection and analysis, this is an iterative process of data collection and analysis in ethnography helps refine research questions and develop deeper insights. So things like field notes, observations, and interviews all are going to contribute to a rich data set that needs careful and thoughtful analysis. In terms of writing an ethnography is about crafting a narrative that tells the story of the participants and the setting in a way that is both engaging and informative, just like the book we're going to be reading. So the use of thick description and reflexivity is crucial in making the findings resonant with readers. Some ethical and practical considerations, um, things, as we've talked about numerous times, things apply here: informed consent, confidentiality, and in this case, the potential impact of the researcher's presence on the group. And so these are critical in maintaining the integrity of research and the trust of the participants. Some challenges: there are certainly some in ethnographic research, such as the time intensive nature of the work and the potential for role conflict, as well as the complexities of managing large volumes of qualitative data. And while these challenges are significant, they're often outweighed by the depth of understanding that ethnography provides. So, some final thoughts in terms of the value of ethnographic research. This can have a real world impact. So, ethnography's ability to capture the lived experiences of individuals in their natural settings makes it a powerful tool for generating insights that can inform practice, policy, and further research. And let's see how you feel about this after we read the book. But whether in counseling, education, or any other field, ethnographic findings can lead to more empathetic, informed, and effective interventions. Um, you want to consider how ethnographic methods might apply in your own research, particularly when studying complex social phenomenon that require a deep contextual understanding. So, in counseling, ethnography might uncover the subtle dynamics within a therapy group, for example, that influence individual outcomes, providing counselors with the information needed to tailor interventions more effectively. And education and ethnographic study could reveal how school culture affects student engagement and learning, offering educators insights that could lead to more supportive and inclusive classroom environments. So, um, clearly you can tell from the amount of time that I've put to include ethnographic research in this class that this is a methodology that I really value and believe in. And we'll see what you think at the end of our time together. Thank you.